today was a meaningful blessing, I would say, but it was a hard lesson to learn, and I don't have the perfect words to say it, so I'm not going to search for them. There's too many things for me to say about it. But when a person goes from the human being level to the individual soul level and has felt the oneness, what they call Atma, whatever word they give it, it doesn't matter, Samadhi, Atma, whatever. Like there's a feeling that one strives for in a human form and can attain it. And once they do, they know that they can never just look at themselves as a human being again. And to put the whole process into the right words doesn't matter. I have a bunch of stuff that I was going to say earlier from the lesson, but the lesson took a crazy turn, not for the worse, but for the heartbreaking. Like, in the physical term, like the physical world, the spiritual world, and the material world all came mixed together and becoming really obvious how the whole thing works. Like, once you realize what true love is, like really unconditional love is, you realize that there's not many people who really know how to love, and there's the people that you see on an everyday basis, or the people that you love don't really love you at all. Like, my mom is one of those people that would accept me for just about anything. So there's one exception, maybe. I mean, it would be really extreme, but other people, say most people, your parents, if you fit into the category that makes them happy, say, like, if you go around telling people that the things that are right, like, you shouldn't watch this violence, you shouldn't eat those foods, you shouldn't do that because it's not good for you, and you could, this is bad for your physical body, and you could better yourself just by doing these couple things. Like, nobody wants to hear that, and it's almost like those are the obvious things, but there's some really deep spiritual things that you could really, really change your life with. But if you go to tell somebody something simple like, don't eat too much fatty meats, people are like, don't worry about me, I'm fucking fine, Like, people will not, if it's not something they want to hear, they're whether they love you or not, quote unquote love you or not, they don't want to hear it. So it comes down to a point sometimes where it's almost like when you know what's right for people, it's almost like you have to just let them do it. You can't tell them, what would help them if they don't want to hear it. They're just, you could lose love from somebody from doing the right thing, and that's not something that I want. Like, now, understanding unconditional love, totally being like an individual soul amongst a bunch of people that see themselves as human beings, and not just an individual soul, but one who's experienced oneness and feels merged with oneness. When I try to take my job seriously, my family seriously, my kids, my money, and those kind of things in the material or physical world, it brings me back crashing down because I'm trying to play a role, and it's so dumb, because if you just say it in the words like playing a role, people are like, oh yeah, playing a role, it makes sense, I know what you mean, but it's so much deeper than that. But they're so stuck in theirs that they don't see the depth of what we're doing with ourselves. It's so simple. The process is so simple. Because then what really hurt about the whole lesson was realizing that my kids, in life, if you have a normal routine where you see your mom, your dad your whole life as you grow up, and then you move out on your own, your mom and dad are something you've grown really routinely accustomed to, But if you see your dad once a week, and as you get older, all of a sudden, like, you're running off and doing things with your friends, and your dad becomes somebody who used to just be the guy you saw and played with on the weekends because he didn't want to, be the disciplinary parent on the one day he saw you, and all of a sudden he's trying to help you but by being understanding. Like, I'm not telling my kids, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. I try to tell them that I'm here for them, and if they have any questions, I'm here for them. And it's almost like the more I tell them that I'm here for them, the more they feel like I'm not, or the more they distance themselves from me because they think they're, that whole teenage thing where you think you know better than other people and you have no friggin' clue. They have no clue about life. And I'm not saying that I can't say that I'm not saying it, but I am saying it. I know a lot more than most people about what life really is. I would say just about any. There's some people out there who get a gist of it, and there's a lot of spiritually advanced people and conscious people these days, but a lot of them aren't nearly as conscious as they think they are, just throwing a word around and being like, I love everyone, and then being like, oh, that guy, I can't stand him. There's nobody that I can't stand. There's things that I dislike. There's things that I don't want to be around, negative people, negative attitudes, but that doesn't mean I don't love them. It just means that I have to separate myself from those occurrences just so that it's not going to negatively affect me. That's just basically what everyone does, but they don't look at it that way. They don't get it completely. It's just knowing now that my kids, like, if I died, like, it would just be one of those things where, like, the people that I see on a normal everyday basis, I come in the building, I do my thing, I leave, they're hi, bye, that's it. My mom, dad, it's a reenactment of, like, watching, talk shows or game shows, and a meal, and maybe a card game or dice. That's about it. And I'm not trying to downgrade it. It's just there's people, I want to help people broaden their life a little bit, add more to it. My kids, they come over on Sundays when they all decide to all come, and they sort of sit on their phones or their tablets, and they sort of do the same things, sort of poke around and mess with each other and wrestle around a little bit, tease, play another board game, watch a movie, and then they leave. It's like, I want so much more for us. Like, when I'm by myself, I study everything, I get into everything, I listen to this kind of music, I watch a thing about this kind of subject, I learn about this, I exercise, I work out, I sing, I dance, I come up with inventions and ideas and creative thoughts and all this stuff. And I try to work on myself, and I work on things that could help other people work on themselves and all this kind of stuff. But then when I'm around anyone else and I'm like, so you guys want to do something? And they're more like, eh. And it's always an outside thing. It's never a creative thing. It's always I need my attention. My attention needs some kind of thing. I need to put my attention towards something because I'm bored. Like, I have no ideas in my mind, so I have to watch something or do something. And I'm trying to help, and I don't know how to get it across to people that, I can help. That's the point, is I know I can. And it's just, I need... When I get it, I guess I'm bottled up so much that I throw so much out at one time. I'm like, hey, you can do this, and I don't know how to just calm down and start slowly. But I'm working on that. That's what I'm doing, and it's one of those days today where, and I don't want to go into the details of, like, it was like a spirit shredding thing. Like, I totally broke me down as the human being part, and showed, like, how underneath everything is love. But the vehicles that we take as people aren't just a vehicle like a car. They have personalities. They develop stuff over time, and then they start believing all the things that they grew up around. And there's nothing but that. It's always outside stuff that they absorb and how they interpret it. And as time goes on, you can learn to see it for what it is instead of see it for what you think it is. And I don't think many people want to do that. It either seems too hard, or it seems it's something like they've never heard of. I don't know. And I don't know where to go, because, I'm not including how spiritual and how crazy this whole experience was, but it doesn't mean anything. The lesson is what matters. Like, it doesn't matter if I, see these amazing patterns or these amazing visions and these whatever, if it's all to me and I can't share it with anybody. Like, it almost makes me seem crazy to people when I'm like, yeah, I'll lucid dream and astral travel, and, I talk to spirits, and God is merged with me, and, this kind of stuff that I never would have thought I would have said 7 months ago is my whole life now. And I don't want to go backwards to watching TV shows and complaining about the rat race and the world that we live in, because that's just taking such a step backwards. And the people that are doing that don't understand that they're stuck in a loop. And I don't know how to explain that the right way without insulting them, because it's very insulting. Even I myself feel insulted that I was so dumb, but it's something we learned. Something will happen in people's lives that they go from thinking that you're just a human being going through this materialistic, ideal, shit shack. I don't know what the hell you want to call it, but it's not that bad. It's actually beautiful. It's just you get the whole idea of money and fitting in with everybody else out of your mind, and everything becomes way more understandable. But trying to come back and play the money and everybody else game, still with that spiritual consciousness to you, is easier. But then when I have kids and parents and stuff that I want to help so bad, and not see them be so distant, and watch myself losing my attachment, like my bond with my kids is going away. The better things have gone for me. It seems like my kids are distancing themselves from me. And I know it's what you believe, and I keep thinking to myself, well, just keep thinking like it's all working out and my kids are going to change around and everything's going to turn around for the better. And then, like, when the kids don't come on a Sunday, I'm like, they don't even want to spend time with me. And I start believing that they don't want to spend time with me. So then the next time I see them, I have that thought in my head. So then I say something to them, like, in fear of them not coming next time kind of thing. And then, if they don't, then I take it as in, I was right. They don't want to see me. And then if I'm not, then I'm like, I overburden them with some things like, finally, last week you made me feel like crap because you didn't come. And I don't know how to not do that. I just want to let it go and be like, okay, it was what it was last week. And this week, I can do that with almost anything but my family and my kids. When I try to take personal things seriously, my spirituality and my consciousness almost go off to the side, because I don't know how to put them together without, I have to single out my kids in order to make them more important to me than other people, don't I? In order for them to feel like I understand them, or I just don't know how to say it. Like, if my parents are like, yeah, my dad's a spiritual thing that loves everybody, so I'm not important. I don't want them to feel that way, because it doesn't mean that. It means that everybody else is as important, but it means that, my relationship with them is something I value because we've had it, and I know them the way I know them. But because of that, knowing that that's why I know them, I can't rule other people out of being worthy of love, because they all are, and everything is, because it's just, it doesn't matter. I don't need to explain that. But I love my kids. All I'm saying is my family means a lot to me, and I don't know how to influence them, because I feel like I'm just losing it. I feel like my kids are just disappearing, and my parents are just going through a loop over and over every single day. And then people will be like, well, there's not much to do, but there's tons to do. They just don't want to. They don't want to do something new because it's unfamiliar. But anyway, I need to finish my day. I got down what I wanted to say. I had so much more, but I wanted to say something so much more meaningful than this, but it just, like I said, I don't have the words to put it in. But I love everything, and I love everyone, especially my family, and life is great. It's a difficult lesson.